Good morning. It is November 13 and I am at Saguaro National Park and I am doing the Broadway Trailhead anyways. And then I met a really nice guy. He grew up in Calgary and went to UBC as well, but he lives in the Tucson area now. But he knows this park really well and he gave me a route that he recommended. So I'm going to try and follow his directions. The visitor center is still closed, but I was able to get a map at the trailhead. Well, I'll take a picture of the map. Cactus Forest Trail, he recommends going to the Pink Hill Trail, so I will do that. It is so good to be back among the saguaros again. I've missed them. I enjoy this desert surroundings, but I am sad the visitor center is still closed. Honestly, I wanted to get my passport stamped. And sadly, it's a very popular trail, this area here. Tons of cars already. So I don't like that part too much. So many interesting plants already. Oh no! This barrel cactus just toppled over. Well, I didn't see it, it was like that. Aw. David has established Jerusalem as his hometown, and now it's time to bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. With the arrival of the Holy Ark, Jerusalem now becomes Israel's religious center. All right, I found the Pink Hill Trail intersection. It was quite a large, impressive convoy that went to get the Ark. You see, the Ark is considered the footstool of God's throne. The Bible says God dwells there between the cherubim. This God who commands the armies of heaven and also the armies of Israel. They set the Ark of God on a new cart, something that the Philistines had done previously. But the Ark should have been carried by priests using poles. Abinadab was the man that housed the Ark all these years, and so it was his two sons, Uzzah and Ahio, that drove the new cart. Another one toppled over. You can see what shallow roots they have. David and all of Israel played music before the Lord on all kinds of instruments of fir wood, on harps, on stringed instruments, on tambourines, on sistrums, and on cymbals. After that came Ahio leading the cart, and Uzzah was beside the cart. When they came to Nacon's threshing floor, well, this is where important community events, such as celebrations, took place, on threshing floors. Anyway, at this point, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah put out his hand and took hold of the ark to steady it. Then the anger of the Lord was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck Uzzah for his error, and he died by the ark of God. Uzzah came in direct contact with a sacred object loaded with divine power and glory. The reason for the punishment is irreverence. The ark is holy. None but the priests, the descendants of Aaron, were to touch it. Look at this interesting thing I came across. I've never seen that before. There's some more here too. I wonder what causes that. Here's a baby cactus growing. I'm not sure if it's a saguaro or a barrel cactus, but yeah, they always start off by mesquite trees or palo verde trees as well. They become nurse trees and they die and the cactus grows. And here's more babies. That's so cool. Oh, see, here's a junior saguaro. He's not very big yet. God is strict regarding his requirements. True, the Philistines touched the ark and no harm resulted, but they could not be held accountable for what they did not know. The Israelites, however, knew the instructions that the Lord had given, but disobeyed it. All right, now I'm doing the Cholla Trail. Oh, I take that back. These have long roots. Interesting. Man sees only the outward appearance, but God looks upon the heart. Those who followed Uzzah might have seemed that Uzzah's intentions were perfectly honorable. He was only trying to assist when he stretched forth his hand to steady the ark. But his heart was not right with God. His act of touching the ark was presumption. A sinful being should not have dared to touch an object of which symbolized the presence of God. The Lord could not permit to pass unnoticed this flagrant disregard of his command. There's a very nice Akatios specimen. If Uzzah's sins had been allowed to go unpunished, his guilt might have involved many others. Oh, isn't this interesting? It's a tall one. Those who knew of Uzzah's defections would have become greatly emboldened to sin if they had been allowed to come to conclude that the faults like Uzzah's could go uncorrected and they be accepted of God. Now, what on earth makes these things? Huh, that one's a fancy one with rocks all around it. That's so cool. Must be antsy. Uzzah's death served as a warning to many that the Lord is a righteous God and requires strict obedience from everyone. It really is a beautiful day. Some have regarded the death of Uzzah as a judgment of disproportionate severity. The incident took place, however, in a theocratic regime when civil penalties covered religious infractions, and the death penalty was inflicted for offenses for which it no longer is applied. Severe penalties are necessary to deter evil. If our present stringent laws against crime were relaxed, there would be an upswing in lawlessness. Uzzah had been so long in the presence of the ark that familiarity had bred in him a spirit of irreverence. He had been guilty of rash and foolhardy presumption, and the Lord had dealt with him accordingly. Well, David became angry at God for killing Uzzah, and he named the place where Uzzah had died in honor of him. But David's displeasure at the death of Uzzah was due to the fact that his own heart was not entirely right. If he had been fully at peace with God, he would have had no reason to fear and would have accepted the will of the Lord. You see, whatever the Lord does is perfect, and when man becomes displeased with the works of God, then it is an indication that there is something wrong with his own experience. The Healing Hiker gives this Saguaro National Park trail system a 5 out of 5. I love my cactus, and it was such a beautiful day. Mind you, there was a lot of people, which I don't really care for, but they were nice enough. Anyways, I'm so glad I'm here. It would have been well for David to humble himself and search his heart, looking for the evils there, than finding fault with God. Do you think that we today take things too lightly that belong to God? We think we know best and are trying to play God ourselves, making up our own rules instead of following God's instructions. Just something to think about.